You look at me, you don't know what to say. I get so mad at you when I don't get my way. I won't dance, you won't sing. I just wanna love you, but you wanna wear my ring. But there's nothing I can do. I've been looking for a girl like you. Ain't Bobby so cool? I only wanna be with you. And I'm crazy and a fool. I only wanna be with you. I only wanna be with you. I only wanna be with you. Big giant van. I only wanna be with you. Hey guys, Silver 5150 here at the beach. This is the best spot I could get out here. It's pretty windy, it's pretty wild, but you know what? We're gonna get this done anyway. I told you guys there's gonna be a show today, and there's gonna be a show today. So, just before we start, I just wanted to make sure you guys understood what we're dealing with. I had the entire show mapped out on my laptop, and in my laptop it just froze solid. Took all my notes with it and everything, but that's all right. I remember quite a bit of it. You know, some of it I knew before, but I just wanted to tighten everything up and make it nice and neat. But instead, we're just going to focus on these. Yes, the 2020 KOMSCO Phoenix coins. Look at these. Aren't they beautiful? Yes, I love these. Because I can tell you, these are probably the opposite of most of the Chiwu Qianwang coins that you'll see from the KOMSCO Mint. So let's see if we can get these evened up a little bit more. Alright, so yeah, you can see here on the front, you got the Phoenix there, and it just flows, and you look at the feathers and you look at how it's set up and stuff. I mean, it's supposed to be a fiery bird. You can't really tell that, but you could tell that, you know, it has flows like smoke, so to speak. So I really dig that. And then here on the obverse side, they have all kinds of different markings and stuff telling you the purity and the weight and all that. And then you can see the crest there. It looks pretty fancy. And I think that's a Korean symbol there, and I'm sure Expat Stacker can correct me on that or tell me what that is, and that'd be great. It is cold out here today. But anyway, I'm going to go here, and you can see there's a nice security feature like a lot of the Korean, the KOMSCO coins have. Let's go ahead and straighten that up a little bit because you know I'm OCD. So yeah, and so this is the coin today. Now these are 25 of the Phoenixes I got from JM Bullion. I think I paid around $21 for them at the time. Had the military discount, so I took advantage of that. And right now you can get them on AppMex, I think, for $23 or $24. So that's just something to keep in mind. Alright, so we're out here at the beach. Let's go ahead and take another look. There's more beach over here on the parking lot than there is out in the ocean. And this lady, she's leaving. Why is she leaving? She just got here. Okay. Gonna make a show, I guess. So, ooh, very happy person. This is what Silver 5150 is doing today. It's the day before the holiday, and I had a scheduled day off for tomorrow, but it looks like that I had to take it today because the holiday is observed tomorrow. So I'm okay with that. Let's get back to the coins. All right, so I told you guys we were going to talk about the idea of naked shorting. And in order to understand naked shorting, we need to go back a bit. The question everybody always asks is, you know, why is it that the silver market has to be controlled, the physical silver market has to be controlled by the paper market? Well, it's not as sinister as you think. It actually has, you know, some good grounding in it. Well, let's just start back in the 1800s. I think electricity came online about 1879. Okay, electricity came online about 1879, and later on they realized, just a little bit after that, they realized that silver was going to be absolutely instrumental in creating the new electric economy. And so as a result, just like with any other commodity like oil, they decided to control the price of it so that economies, global economies, could boom and prosper and head into this new electric age. Let's get in close here. And so that is when I believe the CME group came into play. The Chicago Mercantile Exchange, they came online about 1917, if I'm not mistaken, after the Federal Reserve opened and all that. And so, anyway, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, you know, they had silver futures available for people to use in the trade But it wasn't really until about 1963, I think, that the futures trading became a popular thing. So the futures trading became a popular thing, and this was run by a lot of the big banks. A lot of the big banks, the commercial banks they call them, like J.P. Morgan, HSBC, UBS, Scotiabank, and Deutsche Bank, to name a few. They got involved with the futures contract creation and expanding them to fit non-commercial traders. And that would be mom and pop traders just like us. And so we've got a couple out there who's very happy to be here and apparently can't stop laughing. That's okay though. That's what everybody does at the beach. So anyway, if you're still with me on this, they were doing the commodities platforms for regular people to go ahead and trade. So you had the commercials that were trading silver futures, you had the regular people that were trading silver futures, but the idea was to make these contracts available so that the banks, the commercial banks, could control the price of silver. But they couldn't do it on their own. It's not like these banks had silver at the time to do it. They had to actually enlist the help of central banks that were holding tons of gold and silver at the time in their coffers, just sitting there collecting dust. The silver that they would need to back their contracts, to back the future contracts, to allow them to do these sales and to do these, acquisitions, would be at these central banks. And so they finally convinced the central banks to let them lease their silver from them, and then go ahead and make it available to back the contracts. And so once the central banks, were warmed up to the idea, thinking they can make a little bit of profit instead of just having the metal sit there, they finally, had the banks take care of that for them. Now, that right there in and of itself, where commercial banks are using central bank metal and possible metal from miners to back contracts, is not really that sinister. There's nothing really that bad about it. The thing is, it got ugly when banks like J.P. Morgan and Deutsche Bank and HSBC decided that they wanted to use the trading platform themselves to control the price of silver once the price of silver started getting too hot. If you remember back in the 1980s, the Hunt brothers, they got really close to grabbing most of the silver market, and of course the commodities, the CFTC, the Federal Trade Commission, they closed down the Hunt brothers by changing the rules on them and placing them in a position where they could only sell. They couldn't buy anything. They could only sell, and that was going to close. That window was going to close in 24 hours, and so the Hunt brothers ended up losing all their silver, and that's how that went. So once the price was at that point at $50, they had to use the commercial banks had to use futures contracts to cool that off. And so what they would do is they would just flood the markets with this stuff, with the futures contracts, bidding that the price was going to go lower. They would sell these contracts in ridiculous numbers to make it look like nobody wanted silver, and they got the silver price down doing that. Fast forward to today, and now they're doing 2 or 3 more things on top of that. The first thing they're doing on silver is they're naked shorting. So what I told you about just now was actually shorting silver. That's where you take silver contracts based on a future price that you think is going to be lower for silver, and then selling them contracts to a certain point in the future, at a lower price, and that gives the perception that silver's not desired and that it's being sold off by everybody and nobody wants it. So that does bring the price down. Now, the way it's supposed to work, when those contracts expire, they are supposed to deliver the silver. The commercial bank is supposed to deliver the silver to whoever bought the contracts. But what they started doing is they started pulling the contracts or sunsetting the contracts before the expiration date came up. So they never had to sell the silver, but they got the silver price down. Then later on, J.P. Morgan and these guys got busted. HSBC and Scotiabank and UBS, they got busted for what was known as spoofing. And spoofing is even worse than naked shorting. And naked shorting, by the way, is when you sell something that doesn't exist. So let me back up a little bit. So shorting the market is when you sell contracts and then pull those contracts before they expire just to get the silver price down. You have physical silver to back those contracts, and so it is considered valid. Naked shorting is when you do that same thing, selling contracts to get the silver price down, and you don't even have the product. J.P. Morgan, these guys were selling contracts for physical silver that did not exist. Okay, they had silver from the central banks, but it was a limit to it. And when they started naked shorting, they had already gone beyond that limit in their inventories that they were leasing for the central banks. So I hope that made sense. I am shivering my ass off right now, and I'm trying to remember this stuff off the top of my head. Now, Naked shorting is when you sell something you don't have. It doesn't matter what the commodity is. Okay, and JP Morgan and these guys, they got busted for it. They paid tons of fines, and they did it repeatedly and paid tons of fines, and they got away with it. Now, spoofing is when you don't have the physical item to sell. You naked short sell that item, and then before the contract even hits, as long as the silver price comes down to where you want it, you pull that thing immediately. So it's like a fake naked short sale. That's like the worst of the worst. And so there were some RICO charges filed against JP Morgan and some of these other guys for doing that stuff. And that is what's made a mess of things. Now, to this day, they're still able to go ahead and naked short the market normally. But that's going to end pretty soon because, as we can see, requirements for inventories or pressure on inventories is starting to build with us stackers, with the demand for minting, with the demand for industry. If industry starts to pick back up, if President Trump gets what he wants as far as infrastructure building and all that stuff, copper and silver is going to be under pressure and all that. And so that is what is going to change things for us stackers, and get us back to get us to true price discovery at some point. So, geez, I hope this helps. Let me go back over it again real quick. Yeah, so you have a physical commodity, you have futures contracts that can be used as instruments to sell or buy that physical commodity. When you short a physical commodity, that means you're selling future contracts at a lower price, speculating that the price is going to go lower. All right, and then at the end of that contract, you're supposed to either deliver the goods or let the pull the contract before it sunsets. Naked short selling is when you sell something you don't even have, when you don't even have the product, but you're going to let everybody think you do. Then you sell futures contracts to bring the price down lower, and then you let the contracts, you pull the contracts before they sunset, and but nobody knows you didn't have the physical product unless you get busted, and these guys got busted. Spoofing is when you naked short sell, which is something you don't have, something on the market using futures contracts, and you just get the price down, and that could be in one day. And once that's done, you reach your target. You pull that contract immediately, so it's not like you never even really posted it. You just got the price down, which is highly illegal. So that's what they've been doing. All right. So there's a couple things coming up. You guys know about the giveaway at 1,500 subscribers. Keep that in mind. I'm going to head to the beach here pretty soon because otherwise I'm going to shiver myself to death. But I want you guys to be safe this weekend. Enjoy the holiday weekend. Spend time with your family. It's like you're going to have much of a choice. Not too many places to go out this weekend. But try to do that. Try to have fun. Be safe. And remember, I'm Silver5150. Your stack is not whacking. Just 10 ounces to your name. Keeps you 99% ahead of the game. All right, I'm going to hit the beach. And I hope you guys like, share, subscribe, and comment. I'll see you on the message boards. And have a great, great weekend. Take care. I'm out.